The United States government, this is something that a lot of people miss when they say we're a secular country. What they mean is we're not, for example, like the Church of England.
Right.
We are not, for example, the Vatican. We are not, and it's true, we are not a government with a state-enforced denomination. And by the way, you can go to a lot of European countries. You can go effectively to Quebec, where I went to public school. I went to Catholic school.
Yeah.
But it is the first government. So when I say it's the first Christian country, truly modern Christian country, when people say that, what they mean, it is the first government that was designed from the ground up to honor the spirit of the law in the way that we are expressing.
Yeah.
In other words, because of these complications that they understood, and because of the fact that they had witnessed also historically political twisting, political subversions of God's law through, unfortunately, religious institutions, just go to Martin Luther, they wanted church and government to be separate. In other words, they wanted the government out of the church running business precisely because they understood how important the church and how important faith was for a civilized society. Not because they didn't want God involved in any of this, but they outlined the country. And again, this is why you have to read the supporting documents. When people say separation of church and state, go read the actual private letter that was written from Jefferson to the Danbury Baptists. That's where it comes from. It's not in the Constitution. The supporting documents show that these men were deeply spiritual.
Yeah.
Not all necessarily what you would consider traditional Christians. Some of them were more so deists, but by today's standards, it would be considered Christian extremists.
Pretty much, there is a God.
This is the only country ever in the history of mankind that designed a government free from an official religious institution specifically to allow and ensure that its citizens could consistently and forevermore honor God's law. That's why we have the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. It's not just about taxes.
Right.
Because if it was just about taxes, they would have left, okay, and then look, they got Church of England, look at European religion, and they would say, no more religion. No, they said, no. That completely perverted God's intent. And you had people saying, hey, God told me to tell you have to do this, and you know what? God didn't say that.
No.
This is the first country to do that. So that's why it's really important for people to understand contextually the founding documents and the intent of the law in this country.
Yeah, exactly. So that brings us, I guess, back to this point. I think we've talked about all the different nuances here, but specifically in today's time, would you say that a Christian, or let's just put it specifically, if your pastor wanted to open up church service, would you say that he can or can't, right, as a Christian, and then would you say he should or shouldn't? Right, because I think those are two different questions. What you can do and what you should do. Yes, exactly. And if you feel that it's wrong or you feel that it's a risk, then you shouldn't go to church and you should do a Zoom meeting. There you go. You know, there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. I want to be very clear. There's nothing wrong with doing your church services on Saturday night. There's nothing wrong. Like your Sabbath can be the day that you pick. You have to have pews and hymnals, Stephen. We're not doing the LED and G white. That like if you don't say Sabbath is Saturday, we are out of here.